Recently, I sat down and watched something that was 4 hours long. Something I've not attempted since the last time I sat down with the Lord of the Rings extended editions. But like with those, it didn't feel like a chore at all. I enjoyed almost every moment from beginning to end, and I'll talk about those, of course, in a while. But I sat down with this not really expecting much, and I came away with a greater appreciation of the guy behind it. I don't think this should be called Zack Snyder's Justice League anymore. It should simply be called Justice League. That's how much I enjoyed it. So let's talk about it. Of course, it was directed by Zack Snyder, who originally had to pull out due to very upsetting circumstances. But the story was created by him, Chris Terrio, and Will Beall, with the screenplay being written by Chris Terrio. It stars a massive cast. I'm not going to say every single person. We've of course got Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Ray Fisher, Harry Lennox, Kiersey Clemens, Joe Morton, and so many others. And I mentioned those last at the end because I kind of broke my cardinal rule, unfortunately. I saw an article on Kotaku, which I will link below. You know, sometimes I'm like, if I find it, I will link it below. This needs credit. That pointed out something that I didn't even realise about the Whedon cut. And that is that a lot of people of colour are completely excised or are in it for tiny amounts of time. And when, obviously, you learn about the whole thing with Ray Fisher, it makes a lot of sense. When you look at this version compared to the Whedon cut, it is something you notice. The whole Iris West bit, not there. Cyborg is not the heart of the film, and he's meant to be. And I will, of course, touch on that in greater detail. His father is barely in it, and yet in this film, again, because Cyborg is the heart of the film, you needed Silas Stone also there. You also needed his mother, who we didn't see. And I'm not going to throw allegations around about Joss Whedon. I've already done my video about the whole situation. But it's very interesting that that's very apparent between the two cuts. And I know the one's basically twice as long as the other, but you can still stick a lot more people of colour in. And also, the Whedon reshoots were apparently done as a way to give it more heart. And like I've already said, Cyborg was already the heart. And in this version, he is definitely the core of the film. This is a story about a guy who is in a horrific accident with his mother. She doesn't survive. He effectively doesn't survive, but his father manages to bring him back in a form with the use of some alien technology. And it's his struggle to accept who he is. It's his struggle to say, I am still valid as this. This isn't awful. This isn't like a change in me that people should be terrified of and hate. This is who I am now. And it's telling that the end, it's him doing a lot of the driving, if you will, with separating the unity, but with a bit of help from, some friends, like the guy who speaks to fish, the guy who's rich and dresses up like a bat, the guy who was dead till quite recently, the guy who's a bit of a strange nerd who's a bit fast, and the Amazonian woman. I can't say anything bad about Wonder Woman, come on. But yeah, I love this, knowing that that's what it's really about. Cyborg is the heart of this film. There is so much more of Cyborg's story and Ray Fisher's story in this. And I feel awful the fact that it took this to be able to see that part of the film in its true form. We got to see so much more, and I love it. But yeah, there's so much in this film that it's hard to talk about in detail without going on and on and on. There is a lot here. But even the whole process of uniting them is done in a very different way. It's done very metered, very carefully. We're trying to get these people on side. They're not immediately going to go, all right then, fine, or suddenly appear somewhere. We do see the arcs of the characters. We see their decisions and why they choose to do it. We see them suddenly appearing and, knowing looks of like, yeah, okay, I'm in, whatever. The whole situation with Ezra Miller as the Flash and Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne technically in the scene with the throwing of the Batarang, etc. It's a more extended shot, and there's a lot more to it. It's not just, hey, look at me, I'm Batman, join my team. It's there's to and fro, there's an understanding of each other. Whilst Ezra Miller's still very much a comedy foil, if you will, he's very much a very funny character, he's still got a lot of heart and things like that. You see, he's not just a comic character. He's actually got a lot more to do. And the moment that I said was completely excised with Iris West was doubly beautiful to me. I've had a love for Song to the Siren for many, many years. I first came across it by this Mortal Coil version, which is the version that's covered in this. But I also love the Tim Buckley original. I think both are their own thing. I'm not entirely on board with some of the lyrical changes on this Mortal Coil version, but still, I do love both. And seeing a scene that was completely not seen before, and seeing the soft side of the Flash, as I say, watching the Whedon cut, and seeing that he is just, oh look, silly man, who's fast. That scene just completely said this is not that character. And also the scenes with Billy Crudup as his dad as well. The fact that he's trying to get into criminal law to free his father who was wrongly imprisoned for his mother's death. There's so much more heart in this film. And I do have to talk about one moment when he's been recruited and they're pulling away. There's a long shot on the AFSP board because the reason that Zack Snyder had to pull out was because of something related to that billboard. I'm not sure that I'll get away with saying what it is, unfortunately, on these videos, but yeah, it's a real thing. And at the end, the film is dedicated, of course, to Autumn as well, which is beautiful. But that isn't why I love this film. It isn't because, oh look, guy had family tragedy and now he's getting to do this, oh bless him. I enjoyed it because it was a good film. I was never one who was shouting, release the Snyder Cut or anything like that. I was like, well, we got a version, it's fine. But I kind of almost wish I was now. I wish I'd have been stood there also chanting that. Because, like I say, I like what I got. Now, I did say that I didn't like every moment. There's certain scenes that, maybe could have been sped up or still excised. But the thing that I didn't really feel was absolutely necessary, but if we're not getting more of the Snyderverse, if you will, I guess it was a way of him closing that out, was the epilogue. Which is kind of more of an extension of what we saw in BVS, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. But still, there was good in that too. And it meant there wasn't like a post-credit scene. This was the post-credit scenes, effectively, just as an epilogue. I liked it. I liked that for that. I like the fact we got to see the future world, with more than just Batman. We saw Flash in the costume that we saw in that weird time jump thing. But we even got to see the Joker, who, yes, he still had that really annoying laugh, but he didn't feel like the weird, not a Joker at all, in many ways that we saw in Suicide Squad. This was very much in line with a lot of the Jokers of old. He's got this rivalry and he's just, in his own mind, he's just on his own thing, and occasionally has this really annoying laugh, but he felt a lot more Joker-like, and I'm glad that Jared Leto got another stab at it. Maybe not the best word to use, because he might take inspiration from that, but he got another go, and I think he did quite well this time around. But yeah, this was a very entertaining film, and I think I just want to close on one thing, a bit, very light note. I've obviously talked very heavy things and things like that, but I do love the fact that somehow the technology to remove Henry Cavill's moustache was so much better this time around. Well, no, it was more of a case of you don't need to remove a moustache if there isn't one in the shot. Yes, the reason Henry Cavill's top lip doesn't look like a piece of flesh-coloured Play-Doh is because that was only because of reshoots. The agreement between whoever's behind Mission Impossible Fallout, I don't care about the series, so I'm not bothered to look it up. But the argument, if you will, between them and Warner Brothers was basically, look, it's easier to put one on CGI than not, and they were like, no, he's keeping it, sorry. So the reshoots had to be done with it on, and they had to remove it. But this was, I think, telling of how much was excised. in the Whedon cut. He basically reshot the entire film. Even though Zack Snyder still had a credit in the theatrical version, there was basically nothing of his film there. And it shows because, like I say, we can see a fairly normal face on Henry Cavill. So yeah, Justice League, as I'm calling it from now on. The other one is the Whedon cut. This is the true Justice League. I'm converted. Absolutely brilliant. If you've seen the theatrical cut and think, well, why would I watch it again for something twice as long? Do it. If nothing more than to respect the people of colour in particular who were ignored in the main cut. Do it as a way to honour the memory of someone who just couldn't keep on anymore and ended up taking their own life. Do it to reward a director being able to finally fulfil their vision. Even if it's a big, massive tentpole kind of film, this is still a director being allowed to pursue their own vision. And this could set a good precedent, not just for people of that level, but what if we could fund more indies who would be able to actually do what they really wanted and put out on the screen their actual ideas. So support it if you can and enjoy it for the 4-hour ride that you're going to get. And yeah, if you need to take breaks, it is divided into parts, so you can pause, go away. It's the beauty of it not being in theatres. You can actually spend time to take a break. But really, if you're interested at all in this kind of film, because I'm assuming if you're watching a review on it, you probably are, you're doing yourself a disservice by not watching it. I don't say that about many things. And I don't say that even about perfect films a lot of the time. And this isn't perfect. So really, go and watch how Justice League should have been. But that's all from me. So until next time, as always, thank you for watching and take care. Octopus.